It's going to be one that I don't really like to do, but it's going to be important to do. So, Miss Lee,
Yes.
what is the date today? Let's see if we can do this.
I think we've got the date right today, and it's Friday, October 21st.
Wow, we got it right today.
Yay!
That's awesome. We did good. And today we're reading from the book of Proverbs.
Proverbs, chapter 21.
And first I want you to read the first verse, and then I think we're going to go to verse 16, because that's going to be our key verse that we're going to use. But the first verse is an assurance. The second verse is a judgment. And God kind of does that. His people need to have assurance that He doesn't desert them. But on the other hand, there is judgment if you don't follow the Lord. And judgment can be that on a nation. A good example of that would be Daniel. The nation of Israel was judged, but Daniel remained righteous, and he ended up being brought into the court and actually served as the head of the government under 3 different kings. He served under Nebuchadnezzar, he served under Belshazzar, and he served under the Medes and the Persians, Cyrus the king. So we have a similar situation going on, and it's not new. That's what's so amazing. But first, let's read verse 1, because it is such an assurance verse.
Okay, verse 1. The king's heart is in the hand of the Lord, like the rivers of water. He turns it wherever He wishes.
You know, that is assuring, because God is in charge of the king.
Even really when it seems like the king is totally nuts, God is still in ultimate control.
Yeah, and He allows the king even to do the things that seem to go against the interest of the nation. He allows his heart to go off and follow falsehood.
Why does He do that?
As judgment for a nation.
For a nation.
And that's sadly where we come to, because of the situation we have today in Afghanistan. Let's read verse 16 though.
Alright, chapter 21 verse 16 says, a man who wanders from the way of understanding will rest in the congregation of the dead.
Well, the Bible's really clear. The way of understanding is wisdom, and wisdom is to know the Lord, to fear the Lord.
Right.
And blessed is the nation whose God is the Lord, the Bible says.
Yeah.
America historically has been a Christian culture and a Christian country. Our Declaration of Independence recognizes the Creator. Our liberties come from the Creator. Recognizes that God is the divine judge of nations, and divine providence will judge us. In the Constitution, it recognizes clearly that we take the Lord's Day of rest. It does not establish a specific religious group as over the state, as Islam does. Islam takes the specific Islamic religion and puts it over the state.
Well, actually, too, when you think about the founding of our country, they came from a country whose king or queen was the head of the church also.
That's
England.
True. It was a combined thing, and we were trying to stop that. But what we have now, we have a situation that has developed in Afghanistan. Now, in Afghanistan, we have sent over, for the last 10 years, our wonderful young boys and girls.
Some of whom we personally know have been killed fighting for freedom over there.
That's true. Fighting for freedom. What is freedom? Maybe here's where the dilemma comes in here. Because is freedom to be able to not have any God? Is that freedom? Because that's the secular view of freedom. To exclude God from your thinking.
Well, I think you have to think of America, and freedom in America means, yes, we were a country founded on the Creator. There's one Creator, God.
And He gives us liberty.
That's right. And yet we allow in our country many other religions who don't believe in the Judeo-Christian God. We still allow them to worship, I guess the word is freely, as they choose.
Yeah.
That's one unique thing about the United States.
Well, in Afghanistan 10 years ago, we sent over to help this peaceful religion, according to George W. Bush, which is a total lie. I'm sorry, George Bush just blew it. Because Islam is not a peaceful religion. Matter of fact, it's very, very important that we understand the first war that we had in America was with Islam. After we were a nation, it was the war with the Barbary pirates.
Oh, see, now nobody ever thinks that that's a war with Islam. It's pirates.
Yeah, well, it was with Islam, and the Barbary pirates were basically doing exactly what Islam does today, taking people captive and then negotiating for bribes. And the American general...
The Barbary pirates are still active today, as a matter of fact. They're in the news all the time.
Yeah, well, the Barbary pirates we were negotiating with them, but I wanted to give you this quote from the general who was fighting the Barbary pirates. His name was no, that's the wrong name. General Easton, and he says this on April 8th in shoot, I don't know the year. It was back in
1780s or 1800s.
I have to find that. I don't know. But anyway, he went and he says, we find it almost impossible to inspire these wild bigots, that's referring to Islam, with confidence in us, or to persuade them that being Christians we can be otherwise than enemies to Muslims. We have a difficult undertaking.
Okay.
He saw it was impossible to persuade them.
Talk to them about it.
Because now here's what's also interesting. He said his head had a what is it called? A reward for him if someone captured him.
Oh, a reward on his personal head if somebody killed him.
Yeah, somebody. See, he was offered, a reward to capture, I think, not to kill. No, it was, I'm sorry, it wasn't. It was $6,000 reward on his head.
Okay.
If he was killed.
Captured dead or alive?
No, if he was killed.
Okay.
It was doubled if they captured him. Now, the reason it was doubled, because they knew they could get the government of the United States to pay a bribe to get him back. And every soldier that they captured was $30 a head.
So
this is how they fought wars. They would go capture people, and they would go to the nations they were from, the Christian nations, and get bribes. And this was such a serious matter at this time in history that 20% of the U.S. budget was being paid to these pirates.
20%?
20%.
That's a lot of money. That's a lot of money.
That's a tremendous
amount. I mean, back then, if we look at it, what it was,
that's a lot of billions of dollars in today's money.
Oh my gosh, that's a lot of money.
That's a lot of money.
20% of your
budget. And the result of this thing they did, they would capture these people, kill them if they had to, but they would capture as many as they could because they knew they were worth more captured. Because they would get the bribe, they would pay the bribe. And the United States was paying up to 20% of our budget, and the result of that, we built a Navy. We didn't have a Navy until this started happening. Because we realized that these people won't leave us alone. These Islamists.
They were capturing Americans.
They will come out and get us. We didn't necessarily go to their countries. They came out in the ocean and captured our citizens.
Well, which is exactly what they're doing today, the pirates over there. The people are just sailing or cruising along in this waterway, and these pirates go out and capture them and then demand
it's exactly
bribes.
what's going on in Israel too. Realize that in Israel,
Yeah, they just turned over that.
Instead of killing the soldiers they were fighting, they captured this one soldier.
Yeah.
And they got a payment. We don't know if there was any money exchange. It hasn't been publicized, but we do know they got a payment of 1,000 terrorists that Israel released.
1,000. It's just
so this is
amazing.
The same thing that America fought in its first war. Which, by the way, for those of you who think that you have to have a declaration of war from the president or the libertarians that think the Constitution requires a declaration of war, there was no declaration of war on the Barbary Pirates. They were authorized to protect our ships and our people, just like today.
Yeah.
And that's where we have this idiot that is, Ron Paul, that believes you have to have a declaration of war for the president to act. You don't have to have a declaration of war for the president to act. He's the commander-in-chief, and he's there to protect our people. But here's what's really sad, and I guess I've talked too long, is today, well, I want to play this. No, I'm not going to, because about 4 years ago, there was a news report by CNN News that came out and said that our troops were forbidden to give Bibles to the Afghans.
I remember that.
And they burned the American Bible.
Our own government
burned
American Bibles.
The American Bible.
Yeah.
But what is the result of that? Is it brought about peace in Islam? No. Today, the last church in Afghanistan was burned.
Now, you're talking about Christian church.
Last church, yes. Church.
Not mosque, not temple.
Mosque, church.
Although I'm sure there's no
temples. We have
spent
$450 billion. We've had 1,700 troops died in Afghanistan. And now they have destroyed the very last public place of worship.
So in other words,
the government of Afghanistan has authorized that. I'm telling you.
We're fighting for a country that doesn't even believe in what our country was based and founded on.
No, this is a conspiracy between secularism, which doesn't want Christianity out there either.
Yeah, it's true.
Are Christians allowed to speak in public schools?
Not freely, no.
No, if they do. And in fact, just this last couple weeks, excuse me, a teacher told a kid he couldn't even say bless you if someone sneezed.
I know, that's just...
This is secularism. This is a religious system that excludes God. They do not want God. But our government has become secular. Obama and a lot of the Republicans, the Republican elite, are secular. They are excluding God from the thinking, and they're compromising because they don't want the Bible. They don't want God. They're compromising with our enemies, and our enemies are Islam. And the result of that is Islam has discovered that they can get the secularist to fight for them to get rid of Christianity, because their goal is to destroy the Christians and the Jews. It's in the Quran, the Jews and the Christians. And that's where they don't care, as long as they'll use our army to destroy our own beliefs.
To where even a leading candidate is saying that he's proud that he appointed a Muslim some position of office.
That's true. So we have a situation today in where Islam is actually winning in Afghanistan. We have spent $450 billion, 1,700 troops in lives, and they have won. They have killed all the churches.
No religious freedom there.
That's all they care about.
There's no religious freedom at all.
And their greed and their selfishness. So remember, the battle is to those who are strong, and that we must realize secularism and Islam are the enemy of the truth.